If irony had a cruel sense of humor, it was watching me mop the floor of a New York diner while my childhood best friend's face lit up every billboard in Times Square. The boy who once shared peanut butter sandwiches with me now had an army of screaming fans, while I barely scraped enough tips to cover rent. I hadn't seen Ethan in 10 years. Not since that night under the oak tree when he whispered, almost trembling, that he was leaving our small Midwestern town to chase dreams bigger than both of us. I laughed then, pretending I didn't care, pretending his leaving didn't carve a hole right through me. But tonight, as the bell above the diner door chimed, I looked up and time folded in on itself. He was standing there, every magazine cover come to life. Sunglasses pushed back, a leather jacket hanging perfectly off his shoulders, like he had stepped out of a movie scene. My hands froze on the mop handle. "Daniel," he said softly, voice laced with something that sounded dangerously close to relief. No one called me that anymore. At work I was just kid, server, or hey, you missed a spot. But hearing it from him, it was like being 16 again, heart pounding for reasons I didn't dare name. I wanted to ask him why he was here, why now, after years of silence. But my throat betrayed me. So instead, I muttered, "Counter's open if you want coffee." He smiled. God, that smilelight was the same crooked grin that once got us both grounded for sneaking out past curfew. The same grin that made me believe he could pull the stars out of the sky if he tried hard enough. "I didn't come for coffee," Ethan said, sliding into a booth like he owned the place. "I came for you." The words hung heavy, louder than the jukebox, louder than the chatter of late-night customers. I laughed bitterly, because what else could I do? That's funny. 10 years. Not a word. And now you show up with some Hollywood line like that. His jaw tightened, a flicker of guilt shadowing his perfect features. "I screwed up," he admitted. "I thought staying away would make it easier for both of us. But I was wrong." And just like that, the walls I'd built cracked. Because behind the fame, the flashing cameras, he was still Ethan, the boy who once stitched up my knee with shaking hands after I fell off my bike. The boy who wrote me songs on his cheap guitar, swearing one day the world would hear them. But I wasn't that boy anymore. And forgiving wasn't as simple as smiling across a diner table. The night stretched on, tangled in old memories and new silences. Ethan insisted on walking me home after my shift, ignoring every protest. The city buzzed around us, neon lights and honking cabs, but between us it felt like a quiet storm. "Do you hate me?" he asked suddenly, voice cracking in a way no fan would ever hear. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to shove all the loneliness, the late nights wondering if I mattered, right back at him. But when I looked at him, his eyes raw and unguarded, I realized hate was the last thing I could feel. Instead, I whispered, "I don't know what I feel anymore." He stopped walking, reaching out like he wanted to touch me, then hesitated. His hand hovered near mine, close enough to feel the warmth, too far to be real. "Then let me remind you," he said. And for the first time in years, I let the silence speak for me. The past wasn't easy to outrun. Every corner of New York seemed to hold a reminder of the boy I used to be, of the man standing beside me now. Ethan tried, God, he tried. He showed up at the diner every day, sat in the same booth, ordered the same coffee just to see me smile. He walked me home through rainstorms, carried my groceries, even fixed the leaky faucet in my tiny apartment like it was some grand romantic gesture. But every time I wanted to believe him, the memory of that oak tree came back. His back turned, suitcase in hand, while I stood too proud to beg him to stay. "You left, Ethan," I reminded him one night, when the weight of it all felt unbearable. "You chose fame over me." His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed him. "I didn't choose fame. I chose survival. I thought if I could make it out there, I could come back to you with something worth giving." I hated how much that broke me, because deep down I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that every love song he wrote on those records was secretly for me. But believing meant risking the one thing I had left me heart. That was when he did something I never expected. He pulled out his phone, opened his notes, and slid it across the table. There, written at the top, was a song title with my name. Every lyric screamed of regret, of longing, of a love too strong to bury. And as I read, the walls I'd built finally came crashing down. I looked up at him, tears blurring the city lights outside the diner window. "All this time," I whispered. "All this time," he echoed, his voice breaking. And before I could stop myself, I reached for his hand. If falling in love once was terrifying, falling in love again with the same person was like standing on the edge of a cliff, blindfolded, waiting to see if they'd catch you or let you shatter. For weeks, Ethan and I danced in circles. Some nights we laughed until sunrise, two boys reborn in the city that never slept. Other nights ended in slammed doors and words too sharp to take back. He was the Hollywood star, polished and untouchable. I was the boy who never left, grounded in small routines. Could we ever meet in the middle? The world around him made it harder. Paparazzi cameras found him even in my neighborhood. Fans crowded outside the diner just for a glimpse. Suddenly, my quiet life became a stage, and I never asked for that spotlight. One night, after too many days of holding everything in, I snapped. "You can't just show up here and expect me to fit into your perfect script, Ethan." My voice cracked, echoing through my tiny apartment. "I'm not some character in your love story." He flinched like I had struck him, but he didn't turn away. "You're right," he whispered. "You're not a character. You're the author. You're the reason I even have a story to tell." The silence after was brutal, because I knew he meant it. I also knew that love, no matter how fierce, didn't erase the years apart or the pain of being left behind. Then came the night of his concert. It was supposed to be just another tour stop, another sold-out arena. But when Ethan left a ticket at the diner with my name scribbled across the envelope, I knew this night wasn't just for his fans. I almost didn't go. Pride told me to stay home, to guard the fragile peace I had built. But something deeper, something I couldn't name, pulled me there. The arena pulsed with energy, thousands of voices chanting his name. When the lights dimmed and Ethan stepped on stage, every eye turned to him. But somehow his gaze found me in the crowd. Midway through the set, he paused. He spoke into the mic, voice steady but raw. "This next song, it's for someone who's been my beginning and my anchor, even when I was too blind to see it." And then he sang. Every word was ours. The summers by the river, the whispered secrets under the oak tree, the heartbreak of goodbye, the longing of years apart. It wasn't just music, it was a confession, a promise, a plea. By the time the last note faded, my cheeks were wet. And when the crowd roared, none of it mattered, because all I could see was him, staring at me like I was the only one in the room. After the show, he found me backstage. His voice shook as he said, "I meant every word, Daniel. I don't care about the cameras, the fame, any of it. If it's not with you, it's empty." I wanted to be strong, to make him work harder for forgiveness. But standing there, with his hand trembling as he reached for mine, I realized something. He had already been working for it. Every cup of coffee, every walk home, every lyric written with my name on it was all his way of saying he never stopped loving me. So I let go of the anger, of the fear, of the years of silence, and I let him in. The weeks that followed were messy but real. The tabloids spun stories, fans speculated, and my life was no longer mine alone. But for the first time, I didn't feel like I was carrying it all by myself. Ethan made room for me in his world, and I let him step into mine. He learned the names of the diner regulars, helped the cook wash dishes on slow afternoons, laughed with my neighbors. In return, I went to his shows, cheered louder than anyone else, and kissed him backstage when no one was supposed to see. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. One night, as we lay tangled on my worn-out couch, he whispered, "I used to think love was something you had to choose between your dreams or your heart. But you've shown me it can be both." I smiled into his shoulder, finally at peace. "That's because you came back." He kissed the top of my head, voice warm and certain. "No, Daniel, I never really left. And maybe that's the truth about love. It's not about the years lost or the mistakes made. It's about finding your way back, again and again, no matter how far you've drifted." Because when Ethan held me close, when his lips brushed mine in the quiet glow of a city that once felt too big, I knew something I had always been too afraid to believe. We were not just a story. We were the ending I never saw coming, the kind that felt less like an ending and more like a beginning. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.